Hello everybody, this is Brendan from common-motor.com. Today we're going to be changing out the cam chain tensioner and cam chain guide because we have new reproductions that just came out on our 1975 Honda CB360. So we're going to get into it and show you how to actually change these parts out since these have been the Achilles heel of this engine for a long time. Let's get into it. Okay, so remove the seat from the bike, remove the tank from the bike. The next thing we're going to take off is going to be the ignition system. So we're going to take the points plate, the advanced mechanism. I'm going to go ahead and pull the spark plugs just so we get some extra clearance as well. On this bike we've converted to the Allen head bolts that hold the points plate on. If you haven't converted to the Allen head bolts, the factory bolts are going to be big Phillips. So just so you know, we just have to remove the main plate. Next thing we're removing is the advanced mechanism, 10mm on the end of it. Okay, our next pieces to remove are going to be this triangular shaped bracket here that holds the top of the engine. There's one on this side and one on that side. There's two bolts on the top will hold it on, and there's one bolt through the engine. And then after that we'll remove this breather cover here. As a quick note, the two upper bolts are the shorter bolt, and the bolt through the engine is the longer bolt. So keep that in mind. Okay, this breather cover here comes off next, and it's really important to remove this because there are two bolts underneath here for the valve cover itself that we're going to take off. So we need to remove that. So we're going to take out the tachometer drive screw as well while we're over here on this side. If you have not removed this screw already on your bike, they tend to be very stubborn and they break easily. Use an impact driver to take it out for the first time. This screw I take out in service regularly. I use some anti-seize on it, so it should come out pretty easy. Nope. Impact driver. That's already the screw's already loose. There we go.
Yep.
So our tachometer screw was stubborn, we had to drill it out. So it happens. Don't be surprised what happens on your bike. Remove the tachometer cable now, and then we can finish removing the breather cover here. So we're going to remove this top part of the cylinder head here, which is actually the valve cover. A lot of people think it's the head. The head's actually this section right here. Split right here. We have a couple different sizes. We have some smaller 10mm head bolts, two here, two over here, and two in the middle under this breather cover. That's why we had to remove them. Also the ones on this side next to the points cover have like a sealing washer underneath it. And then in the corner we have some 12mm bolts. And some of those are different lengths, so pay attention to the lengths as you take them out. And I'll show you as we get into it. So these two bolts have an aluminum sealing washer on them. They go on the first two bolt holes here underneath the points cover. All the other 10mm bolts are the same length. There's 6 of them total. 2 here, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the right hand side. So the valve cover is actually sealed to the cylinder head with like a 3-bond or Honda bond gasket sealer. So we're going to have to kind of give it a couple taps with the mallet to break it loose. Alright, so we're going to use our plastic mallet here and see if we can jar the top of this valve cover loose real carefully. Okay, that is our valve cover. Underneath here we have our rocker arms. So we're also going to pull out the cam seal right here, which should be just kind of glued in place. So there it is right there. Honda bond on it. take that out, we'll clean it off, we'll reseal it. So we're going to get into the, this is the cam chain tensioner adjustment. We're going to take out this plug bolt and put a bolt in here to help hold the lower part of the cam chain tensioner arm in place while we do the tensioner change. So I'll take this guy out. I don't have to remove it, just have to back it out. And then I have this is a metric 8 bolt, which I'm going to throw it in here as a stop. Okay, so here is the top of our cylinder head. We have our camshaft here, our cam chain. We also have our valves, 2, 3, 4. So this little piece back here, these 2 bolts on it, is the top retainer for the cam chain tensioner. And over on this side is where our cam chain guide goes. So we'll go ahead and pop these 2 out. Be really careful not to drop anything in the engine here while you're working, because you'll have to fish it out, or worst case scenario, take your whole engine apart to get it clean. Let's come over here first. This guy. As you can see, as I loosen the cam chain tensioner holder, the tensioner popped up. Also, take note of the orientation of the little top plate here when you put it back in. With this particular one, the bolt holes face towards the front of the engine. Okay, our tensioner's loose. There's no, see how our cam is nice and loose now. Let's go ahead and remove the guide first, since it's super easy to do. I mean, it literally just sits here in the engine. There it is right there. There's our old guide, which is actually in pretty good shape on this engine. So this one could be reused again, but we'll go ahead and swap it out once we have the new ones. And here's the tricky one, the tensioner right here. Take note of about how far it's sticking up out of the engine here. If it's sticking up too far, could mean it was put in wrong. So it comes out, just kind of have to roll it back. There we go, right there. And there is our tensioner. And this one also is in good shape. Let's see, it's actually pretty clean. Could be used again, but we'll go ahead again and swap it out. Okay, so here is our new chain tensioner. And it doesn't have an upper bottom, it's both sides are symmetrical, and so we're going to just snake it in the engine and install it. Now what's really important is we're going to try to make sure we find the seat where the tensioner fits. There we go. Just dropped right in. And how do you know you're in the seat, right? Well, if you push down the tensioner, see how it snaps back up? That means that you're in the lower arm. If it's not snapping back, it could be cocked. So that's your indicator, because the arm is spring loaded right there. Okay, here's our chain guide, another often broken piece. The part with the 2 little peg up here, that's the top, and the other part's the bottom. And you literally just drop it in. Let me see if we can get it better from this side. There we go. That's it. High performance, huh? Okay. New tensioner is installed. The next thing we're going to do is we have to clean the surface here where all the old gasket sealer was, and we also have to clean the surface on the valve cover before we can put it back on. There's no gasket that goes here, just the sealer. So the next step is cleaning. All right, we're going to use a little bit of brake clean to clean the surface off here. Make sure you wear gloves on a rag. When you use this stuff, it's mean. I'll put some on a rag here and start clean it off the surface. Surface has to be spotlessly clean. Any of these little sealing kind of boogers, so make sure you get it all off. Can't be too clean now. And we'll also clean the valve cover as well. Okay, so we got our gasket surface here spotlessly clean. Again, if there's any boogers or little pieces of the old sealer that have fallen in the valve area, make sure to clean them out. Also, since we don't have the valve cover on, we have reinstalled our cam chain tensioner bolt, or the adjuster. We took the bolt out and put it back, and now our cam chain's at the proper tension. We don't have to worry about the position because there's no pressure from the exhaust, from the valve springs on the cam, changing the position of the cam, so tension is set. So I got the valve cover as well, equally clean. Like I said, spotless, brake cleaner, no residue, and we're ready to put our gasket sealer on. We're using a 3-bond gasket sealer here. We have it available here on the website. This is the appropriate stuff to use on the motorcycle. It's not silicone, it's not RTV, it is a motorcycle specific gasket sealer to be used with aluminum on aluminum surfaces. The key here is just to put a really thin coat on everything. I like to just kind of get started here, a little bit like that, and literally just take my finger and spread it like butter. Just a thin, even coat across the sealing surfaces. We're going to use it on the other side too, so use it very sparingly. Okay, here's our valve cover. We're going to do the same thing we did on the cylinder head. The valve cover, and just put a nice thin kind of coat of the 3-bond on everything. Just do some of that for now. Take my finger and just spread it out nice and even. Just a thin, even coat. You don't want to put it on too heavy. Just like that. Okay, so we have a thin, even coat of the gasket sealer on the valve cover here. I put a little more right here. But that's it. We're going to let it dry off for a few minutes, and then we're ready to put it back on the cylinder head. Alright, that's back on there. Now we're ready to put the bolts in. Okay, so we've got our valve cover bolted down to the cylinder head. Our sealer's in between. We've just snugged all the bolts all the way around, but we haven't really tightened them up. There actually is a tightening pattern to the bolts on the cylinder head here, actually on the valve cover here. And that pattern is located in the Honda Master Service Manual. I'm in section 4, engine, page 44, part 19. It actually has a number pattern you need to follow to tighten down the valve cover on the cylinder head. There's not a torque value specifically, but go around a couple times to make sure you got them evenly snug. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. All right, so last bolt. So now they're all tightened up here on the cylinder head, on the valve cover to the cylinder head, and we can put together the rest of the things of the ignition system. We have the cam seal here, which has some sealer on it from last time I took it apart, so we'll clean the sealer off We'll put a nice bead of 3-bond on the outer circumference of it, and press it into place. Once it's in, we'll go ahead and reinstall the advance mechanism and our points plate. And from there we can start buttoning up the rest of the engine. Now do note, since we've had the valve cover off, we will have to, 1, set the valves, so reset all the valve clearances, and 2, you're going to have to reset the ignition timing again because it's going to be off since we've taken this all apart. But that's pretty much it for the cam tensioner change. Not super intimidating, it can be done in just a few hours with some basic tools. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Brennan with Common Motor. That's common-motor.com, and we'll see you next time.